Are you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show!
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years. You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show.
Boring.
A weekly podcast about sports since 2011.
Don't you ever get tired of being wrong all the time?
With a focus on football.
Sue, late in his career, is going to have his first Super Bowl title. Now, no wonder they want to call it Tampa Bay. Or Tampa Brady. One more snap, would you have guessed when this impossible season was trying to launch that you'd get it all in, you'd get to Tampa, and when the Super Bowl ended, the ball would be in the hands of Tom Brady.
I don't know why we ever think it won't.
The Tampa Bay Buccaneers have a second Super Bowl title in franchise history.
And Tom Brady doesn't pass the torch quite yet to Mahomes, does he? No. Even though
you're looking at the greatest right there.
Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff. We are back. Welcome to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, episode 348. Justin, last week, not ideal to not be on the air.
No,
Just,
last week.
One of the greatest
weekends of football ever.
If not the greatest weekends of NFL action in history. And I know there's a little bit of maybe a biasness because of the recency bias, but many people had that same reaction because how often do you get all 4 playoff games decided by a field goal in the final seconds or a touchdown in overtime?
Right. It was basically like the last play of every game, essentially.
Yeah. And I know people were making fun of that, saying that, you always
yeah. They're like, somebody,
the semantics
I guess
of
it was Schefter had said,
all four games ended on the
last
final
play.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're like, every
technically
game
every
on the
game.
final play.
Yeah, but everyone understands what we were all saying.
Right.
And, I mean, it really was. It was stupendous. It's tough to think of a weekend like that. Certainly there may be games that were better, arguably. You could put some up there. Although I know a lot of people think
Sunday
that Chiefs-Bills one,
yeah.
the final one. It was one of those things where, how do we top this? Because, the first one ends on a last-second field goal. The next one ends on a last-second field goal.
Yeah.
And they were interesting on Saturday, but I don't know if I would describe them all as good games.
No, they weren't good games.
Yeah, they ended on the final play, with, as time expired with the field goal and whatnot.
The winning teams combined for one offensive touchdown on Saturday.
Right.
So, no, they weren't good games.
So, but then Sunday comes and you get, again, that last second kick.
Right.
After, that was the Buccaneers game, right, against the Rams. So the Rams blew a lead and the Buccaneers charged back and you have the aura of Tom Brady. Right. Oh my gosh, he's going to do it again. Oh, he did it again. Right. But then the Buccaneers just defense collapsed.
Go 1-on-1 and Matt Stafford bombs it over the top.
But they could use some help right now with that. But yeah, so we're here to talk about NFL playoffs. I think we should focus a little bit on last week just because of the absurdity, the insanity that it was last weekend before we moved to this weekend, which again started off with a bang. And while this late game isn't, I guess, super exciting, it is close, and we could be heading towards another last seconds to decide this game to go to the Super Bowl. We already have one of those teams, and it is the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah.
Making the championship 2 years after being the worst team in the NFL.
Right. Oh, and last year being one of the top or bottom 5 teams in the NFL.
Yeah, they
now
picked
it's a little
fifth.
distorted because their quarterback got hurt halfway through the season last year, but they were still, they were drafting in the top 5 because they were bad.
But look how quickly things have turned around. Now they finished the regular season 10-7, but that last week they didn't play their guys. They
Right.
had them sit out.
They won the division.
They had already won the divisions. They weren't really playing for anything. They couldn't rise up to get the number 1 seed or anything. Their last game that they played with their full-time guys was the defeat of the Chiefs.
Yeah.
In week 17.
Who,
and
in 2 games this year, in the second halves, they held them to 3 points each time.
well, don't talk about the first half at all.
Yeah.
In terms of the Bengals' defense against the Chiefs' offense.
In both games.
But yeah, in both games. But the second half, lights out. But let's go back and see how the Chiefs got to the matchup with the Bengals. The Chiefs making it to their 4th straight AFC Championship game, attempting to make a 3rd straight Super Bowl. Wasn't meant to be because of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, and the Cincinnati Bengals. But the Chiefs-Bills game ended that divisional round in just insane fashion.
Yes.
It's tough to even fathom how that went down because there was, 4 lead changes in the final 3 minutes or something like that of that game.
Yeah.
The Bills went up, the Chiefs went up, then the Bills went up again, and there were only 13 seconds left to go. You thought, wow, this is over.
Yeah.
And then, first of many weird things happened to the Bills in the final 13 seconds. They decided to kick deep on the kickoff instead of trying to squib it halfway down the field or 3/4 of the way down the field and make them return it. And why is that important? Because the clock doesn't run, no time goes off. You keep those 13 seconds so that the team only has to drive 75 yards for the or for the points.
I get being scared of if Tyreek Hill or someone was back there, but I don't even think Tyreek Hill was back there. And I know
he was not. He wasn't. No.
But yeah, man,
I think it was Mecole Hardman.
Well, right. And it's not like college where you can call for a fair catch anywhere inside the 25 and you get it at the 20. No, you've got to field it, Yeah, that surprised me because it just gave them a chance to set up things and not use any time. And when there's only 13 seconds left, making them use 1 or 2. Even if they catch it and down it, it has to be a second. There has to be a second that comes off the clock. You didn't make them do anything.
No, and they ran back-to-back plays.
I get not wanting to just do a short squib because you don't want to. They have the 2 timeouts. You don't want to let them set up at 35 or 40.
You have a professional kicker who should know how
who can be able to kick it inside the 10 or 15, right?
To the 20 and roll or whatever whatever you want to do, however you want to set up,
or just kick it really high so you make
your
them,
coverage team gets down there,
right?
Right. I mean that's going to take off 3, 4, 5 seconds.
Right.
Now you're instead of 13, you're down to 8, and that's even more crazy to think about, but. They didn't do that. Mahomes and the Chiefs took over at the 25. They immediately got 19 yards to get to the 44, their own 44. And then the next play,
seeing the audio and video of that about how they're about Kelsey talking to Hill being look, they're going to do this, come back inside and I'll clear out the guy for you. And he did it.
And he picked up 19 yards. Then the next play, Kelsey knew exactly what was happening.
They're going to play it the same way. He's I got the seam. And then you hear Mahomes saying, "Do it, Kels, do it, Kels, do it," and they run it and
he gets 20 something,
right, and goes down. He doesn't keep fighting for yards. He doesn't do anything because he doesn't want to use can't let the clock expire. And then
they have all their timeouts. Right. That was the big thing. They had
Butker comes in and drills the kick. After missing 2 kicks earlier in the game.
And then we get to the overtime, and a lot of people were up in arms. And it's one of those things, I get it, but also, not, I do think, and I've said this since almost a decade or so ago, when they changed it to the way it is now, they got rid of the, you can kick a field goal to win, which I always felt was kind of cheesy. I didn't like that. This way is better, it's not perfect.
Right.
I would like it to. Honestly, I would like them to play another quarter.
Yeah,
that's how I want to see it decided where all three phases of the game matter. But I also don't like the team that gets shorted is always going to be angry, and I completely understand that. And my distaste for the Bills,
Right.
I understand they're upset, and I get it. But as many of the other people are saying, you have to play. You can play defense too. Like, look what happened today.
Well, and Josh Allen after the game's like, well, if it would have been us, we would have been excited. He's like, so I can't he's like, that's just the way it is,
So, I don't think the system's
Play
perfect.
defense.
It's gotten better, but yeah, you can play defense,
Rams are in
unlike the
trouble.
Rams, who are not playing defense. I don't know. I don't get the massive amount of people who are up in arms about it.
Well, and it's funny because some people want them to play like a full quarter, like you said.
Or
But
even
there's
if it's
a lot
not
of people
15,
who are
go
like,
to 10.
A lot of people are like, they should do more like college.
No,
and
they
and
should
it's funny
not.
because Louis Riddick pulled this out this week. In college, the percentage of wins, based on the correlation between winning the toss and winning the overtime is actually slightly higher in college. He's like, you can argue it's actually more of an advantage in the college model to go on defense first, which is saying the coin flip decides things. And obviously there's a lot that goes into it. And that's kind of the point he's making. I was like, look, no matter what the system is, go out and win. Go out and win.
Do your job. Yeah,
right.
Get things done. I just would I like to see it changed? Yeah, but I don't think it's
ironic that the Chiefs petitioned to change the rule a few years ago, and it was shot down. They wanted the rule change,
and now they benefit
and
from
then they
them not
benefited
changing.
from
Yeah,
it, right.
But Andy Reid still came out and was like, "Yeah, I'd like to see it change."
Right. Yeah.
Because it's not about the moment right here, that one game. It's the system, the overall expectations going forward. So I would like to see it changed. I don't know what it will be changed to. I don't want a college approach, at least the way college is now.
No, the way college is now is worse with the 2-point.
2-point, no.
I'd rather them just play it. Problem is, I feel like you need to start from further out than the 25 in the pros. I'd almost start them at the 40.
Well, but I also don't like if you do that, and because I thought about this, about doing something like 35 and in.
Yeah.
But sure, you're still involving the field goal kicking component, but you're taking away the punting component.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it's a continuation of the game. It's like soccer going to penalty kicks instead of just keep playing until someone scores.
Right.
I want to see all phases of the game. Every player is important. There are some teams that special teams are their best aspect.
Yeah.
Why are you taking that away from them? If we're all talking about fairness in terms of who gets to touch the ball.
I kind of like the idea that in the regular season, the NHL uses one set of rules for just look, we're not going to go 3 hours into the night tonight. But when it comes time for playoffs, they're look, we're not using
golden goal.
I hate to say it, gimmick, but we're not going to the gimmick. You're playing until somebody wins. And if you're here for an hour,
produced epic games.
Right.
22 years ago, Flyers,
it's why
Penguins.
people talk about NHL playoffs are incredible because
oh my
you
God,
get those moments.
They're infinitely better than the thing they go up against, the NBA playoffs.
Right. But it's one of those things where that's just kind of how it is. Yeah, but that aside, the Chiefs got the job done. The Bills didn't.
When all was said and done at the end, we all got to watch a spectacular game, and we couldn't ask for more from last weekend. And the better yet, all my rooting interest won last weekend. So I got to say bye-bye to the teams I didn't want there. I got to say bye to the Bills. I got to say bye to the Packers. I got to say bye to the Buccaneers. Again, that's all division rival for the Dolphins. I can't have them be good. That I didn't want Aaron Rodgers and I didn't want Tom Brady. I didn't really have anything against the Titans, but I wanted the Bengals to win because they had never won a road playoff game ever.
Right.
They hadn't hosted or been to the AFC Championship game since 1989, I think. So I was all in on the Bengals. And if they were going to play the Chiefs, I'm going to pull for Kansas City. But again, the only reason for that anymore because of the last few years is because Chad was still on the team. If Chad is not on the team, I don't dislike the Chiefs, but they're one of those teams like, okay, like I like Andy Reid.
You're probably picking
I'm picking the Bengals.
Right.
I'm picking the Bengals. Like if Chad is not on the team today, I'm cheering for the Bengals.
Yep.
So I'm disappointed that the Chiefs lost today. I would have loved to see Chad Henne play in a third straight Super Bowl, be there, take all that in, be part of history. Like I wanted that to happen for him, as everyone in this area did. I mean, this whole area has been all in on the Chiefs now for a number of years. So it's been fun to watch, and all the stuff that's happened over the last few years with them winning and then him having a direct reason for them playing in the AFC Championship game last year. When he was on our show, a year ago, He called in literally right after that happened within hours, which was fantastic. It was great to have. If or when he is no longer a member of the Chiefs, whether he retires or moves on, his contract is up as soon as the league year tolls in March. I'll still like the Chiefs, but there'll probably be other teams that I'm rooting for just because, Chad's not there anymore. That's worn, the luster's worn off, and now the Chiefs are winners, and I want to see fresh blood. And Joe Burrow and the Bengals are fresh blood.
Right. It would be one thing if they were playing against someone else in the AFC that had had a history and thing, but
All right,
Joe Burrow
if that
and the
was
Bengals.
if it's Chiefs Patriots.
Oh yeah.
Or Chiefs Bills, I'm still rooting for the Chiefs.
Right.
Even if Chad isn't there, I'm rooting for the Chiefs.
Right.
There's still a hierarchy.
It came up in our in one of our group discussions because my son hopped on the Bengals a few years ago now, and to be fair, he likes a lot of teams named after big cats. So he liked LSU. Now I wouldn't say he hasn't been super close following all the teams, but it's a little hard for him a little bit, but when games are on and there are teams, but the Bengals have been one that he's liked for a few years, even when they were still terrible over the last couple years, because last year he got a Bengals hoodie and all this stuff. And I think my wife was kind of but it was one thing because the Bengals were terrible. Now, because she's a Steelers
all of a sudden,
fan, now she's just kind of because they are they're good, and he keeps kind of going, man, LA down 2 scores and just used their second timeout of the half, and they're still in the third quarter. That's not good. But they he was literally running around the house screaming and jumping, and my wife's like calm down. I'm like, no way. His team she wasn't yelling at him, but she's like, Austin, calm down. I'm like, no way. His team that he roots for is going to the Super Bowl. I was excited for him. And one of our friends was like, how is it if your kid's rooting for favorite team is a different team than yours? And I was like, oh, I would love for him to root for the Eagles. But to be clear, if he's not going to root for the Eagles, a team like the Bengals, okay, they're not a rival of the Eagles.
Not even close.
Right. And I'm and I said, if you're gonna buy in low with a team and then they get good and you get to be excited, that's awesome. If it would be completely different if he was I'm gonna root for.
Oh, I hope Kelly's watching. Then Kelly's always asking if some team.
However,
flea flicker.
I don't know if I've ever seen the flea flicker go back to the flea.
Was that the flea?
I think it was the guy who got the ball.
That's a tight end.
Oh, I thought
or receiver.
Yeah. But
he just must have been hanging out around at the line of scrimmage. No, that's great for Austin. So I thought Austin was an Eagles fan.
So he likes the Eagles. He'll root for them, but he likes if you ask him who he likes, he's going to say the Bengals. He may say the Panthers or stuff too. He likes Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah.
But
the big
Christian
cat,
McCaffrey's
the big
out
cat
all the time.
thing, so.
Right. But the Bengals, he got the Bengals sweatshirt a year ago. He is always drawing the Bengals logo and stuff. He likes the Bengals.
That's awesome.
He's
That's
all
cool.
in, and he likes Joe Burrow, which is cool. But it's cool to see him, liking teams like that. If he would have been oh, I'm gonna root for the Bucks or I'm gonna root for that would not be cool. But when he and again, part of it is because he liked them before now. He liked them. I'd say maybe 2 years ago he started saying he likes the Bengals. And like I said he liked the Panthers and stuff too, but like the Bengals are the stuff like I said, he has, whenever he has a shirt that has a tiger on it, he's like, this is like the Bengals. Like it's just everything. Like he's all on it.
So if they win the Super Bowl in 2 weeks, you have to buy him all the championship gear.
He'll get some stuff, yeah, because I'm a sucker.
So
sucker for sports, like nostalgia stuff. Like, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, because he'll remember that for the rest of his life. He will
right.
That shirt will never be tossed.
No, like he's old enough that like he'll probably start. Yeah, like if the team, because he's about the age where I started like remembering Super Bowls.
Yeah, well, we've had this discussion a lot. We talked about it when the playoffs were starting about our rooting interest.
It's really weird for me because like he is almost the age that I was when we moved from Jonestown to Columbia. Like, and I'm like, wait, how is that possible? How is that possible? I say to the guy whose daughter is
just turned 9.
Right.
Yeah, so she's older now than when I can remember having rooting interest of sports teams.
Right.
Because it was the fall of '92 when I was 7 turning 8 is the first Miami Dolphins season I can remember. And that season, Miami lost to the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game. This is January '93 now. It's the last time Miami was in the AFC Championship game. It's the first season that I remember. It was still like, that was like probably the peak of Marino. Like he was still good the next few years.
Oh, yeah.
And well, he was very good for the next 6-7 seasons or whatever. But the team was good enough to win a division or get into the playoffs, but they never were able to get back to the championship game. And I never saw them playing the Super Bowl when I was cognizant of my fandom.
Right.
But it's funny, growing up for many years, my second AFC team was the Cincinnati Bengals, as evidence of the little tiny kids outfit that I showed you a few months ago had made its way here from my parents' house, and I just put it in storage, and it was like, I don't know what I can do with this. I don't really want to get rid of it now. It's 30 years old. And then I remembered after the game today, I was like, well, if I'm all in on the Bengals,
it's older than most of the Bengals players.
It is. You're right. It is. Well, it's one of those old hutch little kids.
Right,
like I have the shoulder pads, I have the jersey,
Austin
the pants.
has an Eagles one set, like the newer ones, and a Steelers set, the newer ones. But.
So, and I sent out a picture. I think you saw it, of the last 3 mini helmets remaining. I pulled the Chiefs one away, and the Bengals one is sitting up by my television with the Rams and 49ers going at it here. The Chiefs have a lot of questions to answer based on this game. Now, as a team, I don't know what their cap situation is like. I don't know what they have to do for free agency.
Perfect example of, I don't know if it was before last year.
Does the cap really matter?
Right. They were like $3 under the cap. And they signed I think it was 2 years ago, because they signed Mahomes and Kelsey and someone else
and
to like
Hill.
To 3 huge contracts. They're like, which just shows that the cap is just literally just a figure.
There's
like,
always a way to figure
something out. Right, you can always make it. You can always work it out.
So,
and
there
this
it goes.
Game is getting interesting.
Good. But the Chiefs dominated that game for the first 1 3/4, basically the entire first half, except for the way the second quarter ended.
Yeah.
Right before halftime. But it's almost like that trickled into the second half, and the Chiefs forgot how to play offensive football.
Right. And the thing was, it looked like different games. So, it wasn't like last week with the Rams, they were up big on the Bucs, but, they kept making, big mistakes. Like, Cam Akers fumbling twice, including right before half, inside the 5,
right?
And then at the end when you're trying to run out the clock, and Cooper Kupp fumbling early in the in the second half. They kept making big individual mistakes. This game, it was just all right, it's a little closer, and now it's a little closer. It's a little closer. They just couldn't get out of their own way, which is interesting, for lack of a better term, for a team that has been there and done that. You don't we know they don't necessarily get tight, but it just looked like a different team.
Well, and if anything, I thought maybe they would start slow this week after the emotional
Well, that's what
game
everybody
last
thought,
week.
and then they're out, and
when you go up 21-3 and they look unstoppable, and I don't know if they sat back on their laurels or if they got cocky or what.
The end of both halves, Mahomes made terrible decisions.
Yeah.
Terrible decisions. Like the to throw short of the end zone and slow. So like there was not going to be time left. Like they had a chance. They're at the 9-yard line or something, like no timeouts. But like they're saying, Romo's saying, he's like, you've got time for 3 plays here. Or maybe it was even after they got to the 1. No, it couldn't have been. But they have like, he's like, you've got time for 3 plays. He's like, you can't run it, but like you have 3 plays. You just have to quick throw. And they got one off, and then like they did another one, and like what were you doing? Like I just don't understand.
No,
like,
I don't either. And the end of the game, I haven't heard any of the post game press conferences, any of the articles written, but it almost looked like they were doing that thing where like the Bengals are going to let us score, so we're not going to try to
right,
score.
which I didn't
but
understand.
you weren't winning.
Right. And
It's
and
different
Romo,
if it's
and Romo's
tied.
running through the scenarios, and I'm like, none of this applies. I'm like, this only applies if it was a tie game. If it's a tie game and I'm the Bengals, yeah, I probably let them score. But you're not. You're winning. And so, no, I can't let them score. I need them to kick a field goal
But
so
right,
that
but-
the game's not over.
But from the Chiefs' point of view, I'm not winning yet.
right.
The field
No,
goal
I
only gives me the tie.
Right.
And as we've
Well-
seen for how many years now, field goals are not given from that distance.
No.
We see extra
And-
points missed all the
But
time.
even then, like, to take, like, a 15-yard sack on the like, what are you doing? Like, that went from, like, a chip shot, which is not a guarantee, but still a chip shot, to a very missable field goal.
Which he made.
Right,
but
he did.
He
But,
should have
like-
been in that situation.
Right.
It was very un-Chiefs-like, un-Mahomes-like. And I know people were blaming Andy Reid for some of that. The end of the game stuff, possibly,
Right.
depending on what
But the
was
end of the
being
half
relayed.
was
The end of the half was
him.
on
Because
Mahomes.
you could tell Hill was not the first option. And you have to know. And I know there are people who are like, well, it's the head coach's job to tell him. You don't think he knows?
You don't think a
Oh my
multi-million
gosh,
dollar...
how do you not catch that when you're standing out of bounds? Like, that should have been at the 40-yard line.
That was a giant mistake by Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, that's a 23-yard mistake.
Maybe that Nick Scott hits got him
Man.
second guessing.
He's had a pretty good game so far, though, including that.
Yeah, he's.
But like when you have to tiptoe before you even get,
Oh
like,
man, he was so close to stepping out of
Right.
bounds.
no, that's a
So
25-yard
two
mistake.
Penn Staters on either team here. So
Yeah,
two
yeah.
Penn Staters definitely playing for Super Bowl title. I don't think there's any on the Bengals though.
I don't know. Like no one like.
There's a
significant.
Pennsylvania Big 33 guy, Tyler Boyd.
Right,
So that
right,
streak will
yes.
continue. There was at least one, I believe, Pennsylvania player on each of the 4 teams. So
Yeah.
that's great for
Yes, there
Pennsylvania.
was.
Pennsylvania
Yes.
high school football. Very good. So, yeah, I don't. No one likes unless you're a fan of a Chiefs rival. No one likes to pick out or criticism of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, but
Right.
like it was deserved, and they lost a game because of it. Not just a game, another AFC Championship where they could have won their third in
Right.
a row, made it the third Super Bowl, had a
Right.
chance to win 2 and 3 years, definitely be building a dynasty. And
Right.
now that comes into question on this. Now, sure, they could go to 2 of the next 3 or something like that, and just
Right.
like the Patriots, because that 21-year run that New England had, there's ebbs and flows and there's mistakes here and there. I mean, look, Tom Brady lost to Mark Sanchez in the New York Jets. Like,
Right.
no one's going to be perfect. There's going to be mistakes. But those types of games here, it feels like this one, they failed themselves.
Yeah.
With stupid
Yeah.
decisions.
Yeah, and credit to the Bengals for climbing back in it and taking advantage of a lot of that stuff, but it feels like a game the Chiefs gave away. And again, it wasn't like any one thing. It was just like they played like they did in the first 5 games, or the first however many games, first third of the season.
Yeah.
Like they looked like the team from
That's second.
the
Yeah.
middle third of the season for the first half.
Right. The
and
final
right.
31 minutes of the game, essentially.
And then they looked like the team from the first 7 weeks. So, I mean, that's not going to get it done in the AFC Championship game.
No, it's not.
And it's a shame because I feel like they could have been honestly, any of these teams could win this week and the Super Bowl. Like there isn't a game, like last year. I don't know. I guess with the Chiefs, it's a little revisionist to be like, oh, I'm not, the Chiefs don't have a shot. But, like, with Tom Brady there, you're like, okay, like, they've got a shot. I know they're the wild card going in, but with how hot they were and everything last year.
Well, everyone thought the Chiefs were going to win the Super Bowl last year.
I know,
No one thought
right.
The Bucs
but they couldn't block anybody. But
no, Mahomes went, and the only reason that game wasn't even worse than it was, I mean, it was 31-9. Like, it wasn't even that close, but the reason it was, they were still competitive in the second half was Mahomes was doing everything. Like, no one else was doing anything.
No.
And now this year, unfortunately, he's part of the reason that their season ended abruptly and early. So, yeah, what a year, though. I mean, just none of this 1 and 2 seeds are out from both conferences. Actually, 1, 2, and 3, I think.
Well, now
because the Bengals were a 4, right. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
The Bengals were a 4.
Yeah,
and this is a 4-6, right?
I thought this was a 4-5.
Is it 4-5?
I thought so, but it could be 4-6.
I thought I saw 4-6.
It very well could be. I'm trying to think who.
Well, the Rams. Sorry, the Rams were the 4, right?
Right.
Were the Niners the 5? No, the Cardinals were the 5. Because the Cardinals-Rams played in the first round.
Yeah.
Rams were 4, Cardinals were 5, 49ers were 6, Eagles were 7. Right?
Yes.
So this is 4. So we're gonna have a Super Bowl that's a 4 versus a 4, or a 4 versus a 6, and that shouldn't be that surprising based on what happened all season long.
Right. What we said, like, it was there wasn't a great
there were no
runaway
dominant
teams
great
this
teams.
year, and it was shown.
Everyone pointed to Green Bay, and I said multiple times, Green Bay is not making the Super Bowl.
And man, did they again? People were like, "Oh, they blame it on the special teams there," which I get because they got a punt blocked for a touchdown and they got a field goal blocked and stuff. He's gonna lose his last time out here. He's going to lose his last time out. Why you would challenge that when they're about to punt it back to you?
Well, yeah, why? I don't...
Well, they're saying the ball came out, I think. But anyway, they just... It's just one of those where, like, yeah, there weren't runaway teams. The special teams for the Packers certainly did hurt, but Aaron Rodgers put up 7 points in the first drive and then 3 the rest of the game.
Yeah.
That's not... And he's going to win MVP, and he shouldn't. Oh, here you go. And this was interesting, too. They showed the thing. I know this is kind of a different topic, but, like, of, like, historically great quarterbacks, and they're, like, quarterback... Where they ranked among quarterback performance in their final season, and they're all, like, in the 20s, like, some in the high 20s. Brady was one this past year.
Yeah. Yeah, no, let's not talk about him.
Yeah.
It's like we earned the right to not have to talk about him, right? Maybe. I don't know.
But
Brady retired, sort of? I don't
Yeah, kind of.
We'll
like,
see
I think
what
it's going to
happens.
happen because I think if it wasn't happening, he would have resoundingly.
I think we'll have
come
more
out
clarity by the time we have our Super Bowl preview next Sunday.
I think like end of this week, there's going to be some money transfer accounts, and then it'll be final.
Let's jump back to July.
Yeah.
With our NFL preview coming to an end and our Super Bowl 56 predictions. We've revisited this a few times this month, but just to rattle them off again. In the NFC Championship game, you had the Rams beating the Bucks. I had the Bucks beating the Rams. So, you know, we got one of the two teams not far off on the other team. AFC Championship, you had the Chiefs beating the Colts, and I had the Chiefs beating the Ravens. Had a team in it, but not the team advancing. But you had the Chiefs beating the Rams, and I had the Chiefs beating the Bucks. So you still have a team alive as of a quarter to
as
go
of right now.
But I wish I had. I don't think I have the wild card stuff here from the beginning. I don't have our divisional or conference championship stuff, but we did talk about our full playoff predictions when we did this, and I believe we both had Chiefs Rams.
Yeah,
I think when we went through this, I'd have to pull up the audio from 3 weeks ago or whatever. But I believe, and again, the things I have posted now are just the wild card stuff from earlier this month, talking about the NFL playoffs. But I believe Justin and I both had Rams against the Chiefs. And I think you had the Rams winning and I had the Chiefs winning.
Why did he challenge that?
That doesn't make any sense.
So they have no timeouts left. With 10 minutes left in the game, they're down 3.
That's rough. That is rough.
Oh, you know what? He was challenging the spot. Sorry. Maybe.
Why? They were.
But now they're going to go
But
for
now they're
it.
going for it. They were about to punt the ball.
Right.
I wish I was listening to this too. So I don't know if anyone that's watching live is also watching this game live. So if you have some insight into to what just happened, since we can't hear it, I would love to know. But honestly, I think for the way this season turned out, our predictions both at the beginning of the year over the summer and at the beginning of the playoffs here in January, we did pretty well. We said, don't expect the teams that are the best on paper or have played the best throughout the season to be there at the end. And top 3 seeds in both conferences out.
Yeah.
4 versus 4 or 4 versus 6. That's what we're going to get. It's fitting that a team that had never won a road playoff game, hadn't been to the AFC Championship game since 1989, is now playing in the Super Bowl.
Right. Beat the 1 seed on the road. And then beat the team that a lot of people would have said
Thought
is
was
probably
the 1
best.
seed. Yeah.
Right, yeah.
And did it with the tied for the largest playoff comeback victory.
Oh, and beat them twice in a month.
Yeah.
Because they beat them week 17.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a heck of a run by the Bengals.
Heck of a run. Yeah, because
they seemed to hit a mid-season lull where it was
they
kind
did.
of like, eh.
Well, I
No,
mean, 10-7. I mean, I know we've had a few 9-7 teams. 6 seeds win the championship, but yeah. But the same thing, like they're going on the screen right now. The 49ers are the same way. Like they were 10-7, right? They had to beat the Rams to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
week 18,
and they were down 17-0.
Yeah,
if they
won it in overtime.
If they lose that game,
they're not even in the playoffs.
The Saints would have made the playoffs instead.
And here they are, 9 minutes and 55 seconds away from going to the Super Bowl. Which, for all of the crap that Jimmy Garoppolo and Kyle Shanahan get, and I'm sure we've given it to them on this show over the years,
this could be their second
Super
Bowl.
in 3 years.
Right.
Second attempt in 3 years.
And some people would argue. Oh gosh.
Oh
my gosh.
Oh my gosh, he just dropped a surefire interception.
That was a punt.
Yeah. I'm not sure what Matthew Stafford saw there or what he thought he saw, but that was not good. Is that Jaquiski Tart? Did he
Yes.
was he throwing to Van Jefferson or was he throwing to Odell?
Well,
because
neither
it
one
went in
went
between
for it.
both of them.
Right, neither one went for it.
How do you drop
Man.
that? How do you drop
The
that?
old Madden game. And that's why you play defense. If you had hands, he would have been a wide receiver.
So I said this in our many of our group chats. After last week, it
looked like Odell was alligator arming that a little bit, and then he took helmet to helmet hit, and that's a 15-yard penalty on top of that.
Of the 4 teams that were left, it wouldn't matter to me who ended up. That was a Jimmy Ward got him right in the helmet, crown. Oh, that's a college ejection.
Oh, absolutely. And I know people are like, "Oh, you've got to take that out of the game." I'm glad it's not an ejection in the NFL. I don't want him to be ejected from this game. It's 15 yards. He's gonna probably be fined $15,000 to $20,000 for that hit. I feel like that's reasonable. I don't want him being ejected.
I guess this could spiral off into another topic, but it just to me, in order to eject, you have to prove intent, and I don't know how you prove intent.
Right.
It's such a bang bang.
Do I
play.
think it should be changed from last week when Eric Weddle drilled the guy on 4th down, but it's a post play penalty? And so they were like, "Oh, it's still the Rams' ball, but they're backed up even deeper."
So you want it to be
don't get me wrong. I was happy in that moment that it was a change of possession and it was the Rams' ball. I think that's a bad rule. Like, basically it means on 4th down you can headhunt because it's a post penalty. Like,
It's not, though. Like, it's during the play. I don't
right.
see why
I think maybe they called it a late hit instead of a.
Oh.
Like,
but
he
49ers
hit him high.
Offsides or have too many men?
I think they got him off the field. You got to throw that in bounds, man.
Yeah. So what were we talking about before we got distracted by this ongoing
Jimmy
NFC
Garoppolo and
and
Kyle Shanahan, how they could go to 3. Oh yeah, they could go to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years, and then like.
Well, we owe the 49ers, or at least I do. I don't remember what we owe the 49ers an apology. And honestly, unfortunately, Peter King, too, because he had the 49ers, I think, at least making the Super Bowl, maybe even win it. And we couldn't get, we were like, why?
Right.
We thought they overachieved 2 years ago when they made the Super Bowl and probably should have won the Super Bowl against
Jimmy
Mahomes
G doesn't
and the
overthrow
Chiefs.
it. They do win.
But going in this year, I was just like, Garoppolo is always hurt. Still happened this year.
Yep.
Isn't that great. I mean, maybe above average. He's not a top 10. Like would you put him in the top 10 of quarterbacks in the league in 2021?
No. I don't know that I put him in the top 15.
That's what I mean.
I'd have to start seeing a list to put him in 15, to start listing.
Well, we can go in order. Look, we'll do what we always do. Here, I'll throw them at you. You count on one hand how many quarterbacks are better than Jimmy G.
Okay.
And we can discuss if there's some. Okay. So we'll start out NFC West since that's his division. So he's got the 49ers. So Russell Wilson.
I think Russell
Wilson's better. Then you have Matt Stafford.
I would say Matthew Stafford's better.
I would say Stafford's better. Kyler Murray.
No, I think Kyler can be, but I feel like the way they've faded the last 2 years, and that's another issue with Cliff Kingsbury. They've done it every year. Going back to like his last 3 years at Texas Tech too. Like his teams are awful in the second half of seasons.
So I'm not going to push back too hard on you there, but I guess
you could make an argument the other way.
It also is probably like I feel like Jimmy G's hit his potential, whereas I think Kyler still can go another
100%.
year.
I think Kyler will be better. I don't think I can say it yet.
So, all right. So we already got 2, possibly 3 in his own division.
Right.
So AFC West. Well, that's even Patrick Mahomes,
better.
Justin Herbert,
better.
Derek Carr.
I'll give Garoppolo the nod just because of what he's done
again,
in
but I think that could be a break.
You could make an argument, yeah.
And then he's better than Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater.
Yeah,
I think it's safe to say that. So we'll go to the NFC North.
Despite me thinking Drew Lock's going to be good every year.
I know. NFC North, Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, better. That's
Kirk Cousins.
No.
Jared Goff. Jimmy G's better than Jared.
Yeah.
Justin Fields. It's
not yet.
Inconclusive.
Right.
But I'll give Jimmy G the edge.
Right.
So what are we at? 5? So we've gone through 3 of the divisions. We already have at least 5 and like 3 that were like, eh.
Right.
So now we'll do the AFC North. Right? No, sorry.
Yeah,
I did jump to the North. I should have done South. AFC North. Joe Burrow.
Better.
Big Ben.
No. Not at this moment.
Like
I would
right
say
now.
no.
Yeah.
No.
3 years ago.
Yeah. 3 years ago, I take Big Ben.
Lamar Jackson is better than Jimmy G.
He's won an MVP.
Right. Baker Mayfield.
No.
I also feel like that one could go either way.
Right.
But that's fine. We'll go to the South, NFC South. Tom Brady.
Better.
Sam Darnold, Cam Newton.
No.
Jimmy G's better than
Again,
them.
5-6 years ago, I take Cam Newton. Absolutely. But
Jameis Winston.
I'm going to say no. Although, here you go. So, Jameis throws the interceptions, but he also throws a lot of touchdowns.
Well, and like Jameis, before he tore his knee, was having a good year.
Yeah. So
but I think
again,
you could say...
I'll say no.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's a strong argument for Jameis.
Okay. Matt Ryan.
Better.
Yeah, I agree. AFC South, Ryan Tannehill.
No.
I gotta give Tannehill the edge, I think.
See, I don't, but that could be recency bias because Tannehill looked terrible.
No, you're absolutely right. And I'm not.
No. You're not to pile on Tannehill, but you're not like an.
Honestly, I feel like
Tannehill.
to me, Tannehill is the AFC's Garoppolo, and Garoppolo is the
Yes.
NFC's
Yes.
Tannehill.
Yes.
That's kind of how I see it. So maybe they are like a break even.
Right,
You can go
right.
either way. Carson Wentz. I feel like
Okay, I
over
might
the
be
last
hard-
few years, I feel you got to give Jimmy the nod.
I do too, and that kills me because Wentz should be better.
No, you're
He
absolutely
should
right.
be better. But and you know this. I defend Carson as much as anyone but our buddy Dustin. And like I'm a Wentz guy. I like Carson
Yeah,
Wentz.
so am I.
The way he played in the last 2 games.
Yeah,
I shouldn't say the last 2 games. In my opinion,
inexcusable.
the last game. The way he played in the last game was inexcusable. You can't do that.
Davis Mills and Trevor Lawrence.
So
You got to give Jimmy G.
I'm
the
giving
edge.
Jimmy the edge in those.
Not potential, like
No.
NFL
Right.
player right now. So what are we at? Because we're down to now the East. That's all we have left.
I have 9.
So we're really close.
Right.
All right. So in the NFC East, you have Jalen Hurts.
Jalen Hurts is better. No.
You have Dak Prescott.
Dak's better.
You got to give Dak the edge there. Tyler Heineke or Ryan Fitzpatrick.
No.
You got to give Jimmy G the edge there. And Daniel Jones, you got to give Jimmy the edge.
All right, so I'm at 10.
So now you have the AFC East. You have Mac Jones,
No, I'm
I
giving
haven't-
Jimmy G the
I
edge
haven't
as
seen
of right
enough
now.
yet.
Right.
Tua. Again, I
Right.
haven't. He's not better than Josh Allen,
No, Josh
but he's
Allen's
better than Zach Wilson.
Right.
So
So,
what is
I
that?
got him at 12 is the high end.
Right.
Because
So
that's not counting any of the
pushes,
the
like
toss-ups,
the Derek Carr, the
which
Ryan
there's a
Tannehill.
handful of.
Yeah.
So,
So
like
he's between 12 and 17. Is
Right.
essentially like where
Right.
we would put him.
Right. But they've that was
Don't worry, it wasn't that card.
right. It was like a little bit bad, and then
Then
like,
it got way worse.
so much worse.
It's all right. You only dropped the cards I'm giving to your son.
Right. Oh my gosh. It was in slow motion too.
Oh God.
This is why we can't have nice
This
things.
is absolutely. You remember you were the start of the pandemic when you messed up the calendar. That was you. Yeah. So
Oh my gosh.
I don't
Yeah,
know. Does
so-
anyone disagree with us about Jimmy Garoppolo? And
See, I don't see how you could disagree with any of the ones that we were sure on, and that was what 11 of them or something.
11
like
or 12 of them that we were like,
that.
yes.
Right. The ones that I feel like you could argue, but even then, like, even if you split
Oh, he
those,
got his arm hit.
and so this is a time when Jimmy makes a bad throw, right? He did it in like the
Super Bowl.
right, did it in the Super Bowl, did it against Dallas.
I was gonna say against
Like-
Dallas in the playoffs.
This is and don't get me wrong, like I don't dislike Jimmy Garoppolo. Like I'm not rooting against him here. I just this is what we've seen. We've seen him miss a throw here. And
So we're down to 6 minutes and 45 seconds left in the NFC Championship game, and the game is tied 17-17. The 49ers have the ball, 2nd and 10 at their own 25.
the Rams have no timeouts.
Yeah, Rams have no timeouts, which is absolutely crazy.
False start.
Did they false start? Jeez. Speaking of Super Bowl matchups, I think either one is interesting.
I think Rams is more interesting.
I do, for some
it's
reason,
more
think
flashy,
that-
I should say.
Right.
Like,
Because you have those defensive names, Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald,
However, like-
Leonard Floyd.
so I'm torn because like I'd be really happy for Matthew Stafford. Like, and perfect example of like one of those. I don't know really a whole lot outside of like, oh, he was stuck in Detroit for a long time. Other than he went to high school and is friends with Clayton Kershaw, who I also like. Despite him playing for the Dodgers, I've always like just been like, oh, I kind of like Clayton Kershaw.
Oh, there it is.
Oh my gosh. I
Well.
feel like Ramsey should have had that, but you
What was with him jawing at Robbie Gold? Was that all about like his pregame kicks? They were talking about how Robbie Gold always gets his
he
pregame
should have
kicks
had
in.
that. It went off his chest.
Yeah, it went right off his shoulder.
Yeah, did you see he did it with the
defensive
Dallas.
warm-ups last week.
Well, last week and
against
then,
Green Bay, right?
Yes, and then Dallas. He was between like the cheerleaders were walking, and he's like they walk on the hash marks, and he's between them kicking field goals, like, But they're saying like that's not him. Like he just does that every week. Like he does it.
Right. It's not a new thing to.
I loved how he gave the shout out to Angelo's Corner or whatever, the soccer shop in Lancaster, for sending him
Jimmy
shoes.
was not ready for that snap or something. It was
And
weird, and they dropped it.
better off
They're
dropping it. 'cause
falling
it would've been-
apart.
yeah.
Oh, but anyways, I guess I somewhat favor a San Francisco win here only because I would like to see a rematch of the what was that, the January 1990 Super Bowl after the 89 season where
So
the
I
Bengals
feel like that's one.
the Bengals had the Super Bowl one,
Right.
and then Joe Montana did his Joe Montana
That's
thing.
one of the
and-
ones before I really remember.
Yeah, no, I don't
Like-
remember that, but I just remember that's
What
one
was the
that
next one? Was that when?
that was Giants Bills, I think.
Yeah, I think it was, and that's where I start
So yeah,
recalling them.
the first NFL game I can vividly recall is the following the 91 season, the 92 Super Bowl,
Was that
Bills Redskins.
So I distinctly remember that one. I feel like I recall the one the year before, but the one distinctly remember is the Redskins.
I have memories
you
of
said
being
was that 92
91 season 92 Super
Yeah,
Bowl.
and I remember it because this will be weird, but that was literally like a week or two before we found out we were moving, like from Jonestown to Columbia. Yeah, we were at friends of ours' houses. Like I remember being at their house watching the Super Bowl.
So
we probably went home at halftime.
I believe my cousin Todd had a Washington jersey on. I don't remember who the player was. We're at my grandparents' in the basement on Spring Street.
Okay, yeah.
That's where we were watching the game. Whew! Wow, that seems a little illegal. Didn't he hit him with his helmet? Yeah.
Crown of his helmet too.
Um,
Like a lot of these penalties wouldn't be. That
It wasn't a penalty.
But a lot of them wouldn't be if people just hit with the face mask, but they put their head
or hit
down.
the shoulder first.
Either or.
But I just the NFL lore of Bengals
yes.
49ers in the Super Bowl.
That would be cool.
Because that's one has been
Right.
for a long time quoted as one of the best Super
So-
Bowls ever. I don't have recollection of it, but I hear it was good, and I've seen the NFL film stuff about it.
While I would be really happy for Stafford, I really don't want like Stan. Is it Stan Kroenke or whatever? Like
who moved the team
move the
from
team.
St.
Like,
Louis to
I
LA?
don't want them.
Well, also I don't want LA to be happy. Like
right, and it would be
if-
2 years in a row of the home team.
right
playing,
after it never happening in NFL history. Now you have the Super Bowl, a team playing in their home stadium in the Super Bowl 2 straight years.
Right.
I really don't care in the long run. I just texted you.
Yeah, exactly.
I said I want injury-free good football.
There are reasons I could be happy for any of the remaining teams, and that was even before the games day. Like I was pulling for Kansas City, but like I'm happy for the Bengals, and I'd be happy for Joe Burrow. Like it would be cool to see this guy that like, man, like he couldn't even see the field at Ohio State.
Yeah.
Like
Dwayne
couldn't-
Haskins would beat him out.
right? Makes you think like, how good would they have been? Like, like
That's a very interesting thing to
I know
to
it
go and
doesn't play
revisit
like that, but man. you
Well,
know.
I told you after the Bengals won last week and the Athletic was putting out their stuff on Joe Burrow, I was sending you stuff from
Yeah.
some of those articles. Just be like, I would have hated him if he stayed at Ohio State, and I had I didn't care about him at LSU because it's the SEC and they're always good.
Right.
Like, and to have them be one of the greatest, if not the greatest, college football teams of all time, like I was just like, whatever. Like I don't care. I didn't have anything against him.
Right.
So
right,
like when he went to the Bengals, I was like, good luck,
Right.
And now look what he's done.
right.
And anyone that says it isn't all on him, no, you're right. It's not all on him.
Right.
But where
Just-
would they be without him? Like if Andy Dalton
Right.
was on this team, are they in the Super Bowl?
No, they don't win the division. They don't win the division. The Steelers or Ravens back into the division win if Joe Burrow isn't the quarterback of the Bengals.
And I mean, I think,
And I don't dislike Andy Dalton, but he's not.
he never was
They
as
had
dynamic.
a window. They had a window with him, and they could never have the healthy wide receivers early on. And then that window passed.
What do you think AJ Green's thinking?
So I know some people in Cleveland are rooting against the Rams because they're like, please don't let Odell do it. Even though they know Odell was maybe kind of right. They don't like the way he handled it, but like, not that he was wrong.
Well, he told Von Miller to not come play with. He wanted to play with
Right.
Von Miller,
And-
but don't do it
And
in
I
Cleveland.
get being mad, but like at the same time, like I get being mad over the way that's handled, 100%. And if it were Philly, I'd be petty about it forever. Like so, I'm acknowledging, but like, was he wrong?
Doesn't appear that way.
Was he wrong? Like
No.
you know, and it's hard to see him in this offense where he's a contributor and not the number one guy.
And he seems to be okay with it.
Right.
Well, winning solves all.
It does. It does. But that also is like in Cleveland, like they weren't winning. Not at the clip they should have. Think how close they were. Like, how different are things if they win that game in Kansas City last year?
Oh, the Browns?
Yeah, when Chad wins the
that's
game.
right.
Like, how different are things if they go to the AFC Championship game last year against the Bills? Like, I think the Bills win probably, but
Thank God for Chad.
right.
I
don't think anybody was beating Tampa last year. Like,
No,
again,
you're right.
that's
You're right,
revisionist
you're right.
history, but like the way they played, like no one was beating them. But
Well, and how about Tampa Bay now coming up short after having all those guys back to run it back, right?
and everybody's like, they're going undefeated. I'm like, there's not a chance they go undefeated.
Yeah.
My reason was they proved last year that they didn't have to go undefeated. They just have to make the playoffs. Well, they did.
Well, we're at the
I'd be lying if I didn't say I was convinced that they were going to win last week when they put that comeback up. And if they won that, they were going to win the Super Bowl.
right.
Like, it was just one of those things where, like, I don't see it changing.
But we don't have to worry about that.
No.
We are at the 2-minute warning of the 49ers and Rams game. As long as this doesn't become the last minute of a basketball game, we should be able to finish this out here on the show. So we're going to keep going as we're not quite at our hour mark yet. So the Rams here are poised to have the opportunity to take the lead with 2 minutes to play. They don't, like you said, they don't have any timeouts left, so they need to run
the Niners
this clock.
have all three, I think, unless they took some right before here. But now this is a tie game, so this is a situation where you can try to run the ball, make the Niners use their timeouts, and kick the field goal. But, like, this is one where you want another first down.
Yep.
And I know this sounds ridiculous, but it's not necessarily the worst thing if you don't get the first down on first down. Like, if it takes you I don't know what down it is, but, like, if you get it on third down, to make the Niners use a couple timeouts, but
Sorry, so I have to get caught up on
No,
my
absolutely,
text. I didn't realize I was receiving these. My uncle is watching, and he says we both did have a Rams-Chiefs Super Bowl, which I was correct. He says, he's a former Patriot, so that's part of why you don't like Jimmy. I mean, that comes to mind, but that's so far removed now. Like, I don't hold it against him anymore.
right.
I don't hold grudges like that.
Right.
You know me.
No.
They don't have
Especially
anything
about
to do
things
with
like
grudges
sports.
with the Patriots or anything like that. My dad said, oh, okay, so he responded to my question about why were they challenging it. They thought he fumbled the ball. Again, who is watching this film telling him, is he just making that decision unilaterally?
We watched it live, and we're like, no, he didn't fumble. Like,
It doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. So here we are. And no, my jersey choice is not to show my Rams, as you can only see the colors. I am not supporting the Rams or 49ers. Again, I do not care at all of who plays.
This is the team from
Bengals.
Wisconsin you do root for.
Yes. I'm wearing my Marquette jersey here, if you can see that. Unfortunately, they lost today as well by 2 points to Providence. But this is for Wilson graduate Stevie Mitchell, who's having a really nice freshman season for Marquette. Oh, man. Whew. Stafford almost got strip sacked.
Yeah, now the San Francisco is going to call timeout, and it's going to be 3rd and 17, 3rd and 18.
One of the things you didn't want to happen there. So, so despite Marquette losing today, Stevie Mitchell's having a nice freshman season for Marquette, and they beat Villanova last week, right? At Villanova, didn't they win that game?
They did.
Yeah.
They came from behind and won.
Yeah. So, it's been a lot of fun. It was
There's
fun
a
watching.
large local contingency went down for that game.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
By
I've
the way,
seen
that was also
pictures.
the highest before the season. That was the highest secondary market ticket that was available for Villanova games.
Nice.
Like home games. It was like the get-in price. Now again, this was before the season started, but the get-in price was like $100. Now Villanova doesn't have a huge gym. The Pavilion is a cool place to see a game, though. Thanks to your uncle,
You've been there, right? You've seen it.
First Villanova game I ever went to, I sat with your cousin Todd in the student section, and they were unranked. They beat a ranked UCLA team, and they stormed the court. and
Nice.
that was cool. Yeah.
Were you on the court?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Was Todd on the court?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Did they have a thing like you're not allowed to do that, or they just don't care?
They didn't care.
So we're gonna get a field goal attempt here by the Rams, who has been forced to kick the field goal because they got sacked, and then they went with a little screen
Right, the
play.
Niners did use 2 timeouts, but they only used 11 seconds after
Right.
the. Now it was second down going into the 2-minute warning. It wasn't first down, but
So just like the NFL wanted, both games are going to come down to the final
and I
minutes
said,
or
I
overtime.
said to you in full disclosure, I said to you this morning before the games, I was like, I feel like we're in for like letdown games. You know, just because last week was so incredible, like I feel like we're in for letdown games.
The 49ers got through there pretty good,
they
but
did.
the Rams field goal is good. They
What
lead
game was
20-17.
it last week where I sent you the thing about where the guy chopped the guy's
It
arm.
was
Was
the
it
San Francisco Green Bay game.
Yes, because San Francisco blocked the field goal.
Yeah.
The guy chops the guy's arm. Perfect timing too.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, like you literally can't teach it any better than that.
So this comes down to our 12th best quarterback in the NFL, Jimmy Garoppolo, and the 49ers offense to drive down the field and
timeout.
attempt to tie or take the lead. So can Kittle, Samuel, and Jennings, Ayuk, I almost forgot Ayuk, get the job done? Can the 49ers offensive line hold up against the Rams and their pass rush? So I know there's at least one mighty big 49ers fan on high school football Twitter that I follow that is really obnoxious in his anti-San Francisco tweets, a fan of the 49ers.
Okay.
But all he does is everything is negative. It's like the worst part of Eagles Twitter that I would never go into, is where like literally every play that isn't something positive for the 49ers, like any incompletion is a mistake. It's kind of maddening to listen. I almost wanted to like unfollow him, but like his high school football stuff is great for I believe he's in northern part of Pennsylvania. Really good coverage, but his 49ers fandom gets the best of him. He even said last week that he's like, I apologize to my followers. I get a little carried away. And I'm just like, maybe don't do a play-by-play of how you hate the 49ers when you're a huge 49ers fan. He hates Jimmy G. Like he's everything. Like he's kind of like the cynic and pessimist that I am. But if I tweeted every thought I ever had without stopping and
Like
thinking
if you
about
tweeted
it.
your stream of consciousness,
Basically, yeah,
while
like
watching a Dolphins game.
Oh
my gosh.
I gotta check this now. What's he saying? Let's see if I can pull this up. He's gonna. There he is.
Oh gosh. Oh my
So
gosh.
it's just
They're
it's
in
just
the NFC
it's
Championship
just
game.
really bad. Like he's just so negative.
It's funny because there's a large portion. Well, no, I guess because of Seattle, but like if you go back, like I think you could have made an argument, and I may have before the season that the Niners might be the worst team in the division, and yet here they are. Like,
right.
Oh man, you check it down. Nothing like in the 2-minute drill and you complete a -3 yard pass inbounds.
What the heck is he doing?
You need to throw that at his feet. You're better off not catching that. You're gonna waste 20 seconds.
It's now 3rd and 13. They have one timeout left. There's a minute 20 to go. They still need almost 80 yards.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my gosh.
And he's taking a sack. No, he's not.
Oh,
It's an
pick.
interception. Game over. It's not Nick Scott.
Is it?
I don't know.
Yeah, no, 32. Well, I mean, to be fair, the Twitter guy was right.
Yes.
That was absolutely brutal series. That's the exact opposite of what Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes did last week in the AFC Divisional Round. That was brutal. Wow, that was really bad. That was a poor showing.
Well, and
by
with
the
that,
49ers.
Jimmy G probably played his last game in San Francisco. I don't know what their cap situation looks like, so they may not,
but
maybe not, but
Right, because he's not. Despite my dislike, he's not an Aaron Rodgers level talent where you just keep Jordan Love on the bench. You got to figure out what you got with Trey Lance, right?
right.
Like you invested in him To be fair, the running back probably should have caught that. This game shouldn't be quite over.
No, absolutely.
But we said it was a little
hard
high,
to tell
but
from that
it's
angle.
tough to. I'm not gonna blame the running back.
Right.
Is that hasty? I think. All right, well, Bengals Rams. Here we are. So now the Rams. So one of these teams is going to be back in the Super Bowl for the second time in 3 years or second time in 4 years.
Yeah.
So now the Rams are going back, and Sean McVay needs to redeem himself for that awful showing against the Patriots.
The worst offensive showing ever.
The most boring Super Bowl that I had ever watched. And
Yeah.
we've watched everyone's where we established that since what? 91, 92, so 30 some Super Bowls. And that
Matthew Stafford
Patriots
getting to kneel it down is pretty cool. Like I'm so happy for him.
that Patriots Rams Super Bowl was a bore fest. That was awful. But I am happy for Matthew Stafford. Not that I'm a Georgia guy or anything like that, but
No, again, he went to Detroit. He never once complained.
No.
Never once complained.
wasted his peak years
Right.
in Detroit. I mean, he had a great camaraderie, it seemed like, with Calvin Johnson, and they could do
Right.
great things, but Detroit could never get over the hump. They could never get anything done to move in a positive. I mean, he had some good years with Jim Caldwell, and the Lions fired him, and they've been downhill ever since.
Right.
But now here he is going to the Super Bowl with the Los Angeles Rams in his first year there. McVay goes back for his second time in 5 years as the head coach there. And the Rams will be playing in this stadium in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, what a great year of football. Underdog mentalities all around, lots of parity. Like 4 seed versus 4 seed. You know, division champs playing in the Super Bowl, but not in the top 3 seeds.
The Rams backed in. Like they lost to the Niners.
The
in
opposite
week
of the
18.
Buccaneers last year, who
Right.
caught fire. And the Sean McVay and the Rams get the 49er monkey off their back after losing every game for the last 3 years against them. And they do it in that fashion. It was kind of a crappy end of the game. I wish the 49ers could have driven a little bit farther. Just couldn't quite get it done. But happy for Matthew Stafford and Nick Scott and Grant Haley. 2 Penn State DBs going to the Super Bowl. Love to see that. Terry Smith should be pretty stoked about that. Lifelong Pennsylvania football coach, high school and at Penn State. Now I believe he played at Penn State,
I think
right?
he did.
So great stuff coming from him. Not happy about seeing Odell and Jalen Ramsey have a chance to get a ring, but happy for Matthew Stafford and the Penn State guys. So and Rams linebacker Troy Reeder started his career at Penn State. And I don't know if there was a family situation or if it was just a homesick thing, but he eventually transferred to Delaware.
Right.
And he got to play with his brother. Right.
Yeah,
I didn't know if there was an illness in the family that he needed to be closer.
I don't
and
think so.
I didn't want to.
Right.
But he ended up.
He started at Penn State. He started some games at Penn State.
As a freshman.
And then
or
left.
redshirt freshman. He was a starting linebacker at Penn State, and he transferred to Delaware. And you're kind of like, whoa, what's that about? And he wanted to play with his brother. And now he's a starting linebacker for the Los Angeles Rams, and they're going to the Super Bowl. So Troy Reeder with the Penn State connections, Grant Haley and Nick Scott, Penn State football alums, and now get to see Matthew Stafford play for a Super Bowl. Cooper Kupp, very likable, great receiver. Underestimated him for a couple years, and he. It's funny in our fantasy draft. It's not funny; it makes me want to cry. I could have drafted Cooper Kupp or Deebo Samuel. And I went with Brandon Ayuk, I believe was that pick. That was a mistake. That was a mistake by me. So Burrow against Stafford. Chase against Kupp.
all right, so-
I mean, I know they're not, but
So you're pulling for the Bengals next week?
I'm pulling for the Bengals. I won't be disappointed at the Rams. 2 weeks.
Agree.
2 weeks.
Yeah. Sorry.
February 13th,
Yeah.
latest Super Bowl ever. I'm not an Aaron Donald guy mostly because I don't want people to be good.
That's the only reason.
That's
right.
the only reason.
However,
I don't really have anything.
I do take some joy. Well, they had a successful year this year, but I do take joy in Pitt producing good NFL
Superstars
players
and them
that-
not having a good
that were
program.
never good.
With
Right.
Larry Fitzgerald.
Right.
Yeah.
Larry Fitzgerald, who was Darrell Revis,
Yeah.
Aaron Donald, they've produced Hall of Famers
And have nothing to show for it.
Right.
Yeah. No, I do enjoy that aspect of it. But all right, well, so that's that. So an NFL season is 99.9% over. We get
That's
a lull. Pro Bowl next week, right? I believe.
Yeah, in Vegas.
And then Super Bowl in 2 weeks in Los Angeles. 6:38 kickoff, I think. Random. It'll take 4.5 hours to play because of all the commercials and breaks and everything. But I look forward to Bengals Rams, just like we all drew it up at the beginning of the year.
I'm looking forward to telling my son he has to go to bed in the middle of the Super Bowl when his team's playing. But
well,
tough life.
That is a tough one. I don't know. That might be an exception to the rule. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see.
We might have to talk to Mom about that one.
All right, we're so close. Like, if it was just the next week and it was President's Day weekend and they didn't have school on that Monday. But President's Day should always be observed the Monday after the Super Bowl. I agree. It's what the presidents.
It's what the presidents would have wanted. The founding fathers would want it that way. So, yeah. I think that's about it. We went a little long just to cover the end of that game. Glad we got to watch it, finish it out. Last 6 games in the NFL season have been pretty great. I hope the Super Bowl is the same. I want it to be a fun, entertaining game. Either get Stafford a ring and help to cap the end of his career.
The early thing, who do you think is going to be favored? I would say Rams 3.5 is what I think.
I think you're right on there. I definitely think it'll be the Rams favored in this one.
The 3.5 is kind of just a pure.
Well, they also it's technically at home too.
It is. But like they were out, their fans were outnumbered today.
Yeah.
Like now, it could be very different for Cincinnati. Like
it's also, but I also look at it. It's not just about the fans. It's about being able to sleep in your own bed.
No,
being in the facilities and locker room, like all that. Here you go.
Is that?
Well, so
is that an advantage or a disadvantage this week?
Well, right. Could it be a distraction?
Right.
Well, I guess my question here is because, last year one of these two teams, Tampa Bay or Los Angeles, is technically the road team in their home stadium.
Right.
I don't know which is which.
My guess
did they have to use the visitor locker room?
Yeah, but see, my guess is there's 2 home locker rooms here because of the Chargers. There's probably 4 locker rooms at the stadium. My guess is they get the Chargers locker room, maybe. You know what I mean?
I guess that's what they don't get to use their own locker room. I'm talking about the Rams.
Right, that's what. No, I'm saying the Rams will get theirs, and the Bengals will get like the Chargers. Like they won't have to worry about like home and away because I'm guessing there's multiple locker rooms at this. By multiple, I mean more than 2, not.
Yeah, it's just interesting. Maybe there's only 3, 2 homes, and then just 1 away.
It could be.
Just something that popped into my head. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. One of the NFC teams had to be a road team as the flip flop goes. Buccaneers wore red last year, didn't they? Because I think the Chiefs were in white. I think I could be wrong. I don't remember anymore. It's been a long year. So one more time with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers Tom Brady intro on this show. Next week for our Super Bowl preview, Rams Bengals, just like everyone expected back in July when we did our previews. Bengals definitely a delight. What a team they became this year. That was the one thing I wanted to mention. We talked about it. We had that live draft show, and what are they going to do? Are they going to draft the guy to protect Joe Burrow?
Right.
Or are they going to draft the guy that he's comfortable with and has a rapport with to improve the offense? Well, I think they went the right direction.
Yeah, and I bet they drafted offensive linemen this year, and it worked out for them.
Yeah,
so
it definitely worked out for them. So, yeah, it'll be fun. But we will be back next Sunday night to preview that game in its entirety. And we appreciate you sticking with us here on episode 348 of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. Can't wait to talk about the last football game of the season, Super Bowl 56. We'll be real close to finding out if my man Zach Thomas gets in the Hall of Fame, too. That'll be in about 10 days or so. So fingers crossed for that. But for Justin Raffoff, I'm Joe Mays. Thanks again for listening. We'll be back in 1 week. Until then, stay safe and stay healthy. We'll see you later.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop. Woo-hoo! You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your email to the Maze Sandwich Shop inbox at joemazeandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Maze and J-Raff Show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as The Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.